In 2018, Fox News paid one of the biggest settlements in its history, about $4 million, to stop troubling allegations about Kimberly Guilfoyle from going public. The accusations were serious enough that even someone as connected as she was at Fox could not stay. But this controversy wasn't the first time her personal life had fallen apart. Her marriages had an unusual pattern. They always ended quickly, and always right after her husbands discovered something about her that made them walk away. The same behavior that later forced her out of Fox had already been damaging her relationships for years. Many people still wonder what it was that her partners found out that made them leave. Kimberly Ann Guilfoyle was born on March 9, 1969, in San Francisco. Her childhood was influenced by two strong cultural backgrounds. Her mother, Mercedes, was Puerto Rican and worked as a special education teacher. Her father, Tony, was an Irish immigrant who came to the United States in 1957 when he was just 20 years old. A year later, even before becoming a U.S. citizen, he was drafted into the Army, where he served for 4 years. Afterward, he worked in construction and eventually became a successful real estate investor. Growing up, Kimberly saw both sides of her parents, her father's determination to succeed and her mother's kindness and compassion. Starting at age 5, she spent her summers in Ireland with relatives, often helping at the family store in Ennis. Those trips gave her a strong work ethic and taught her to appreciate opportunities. Her early years were spent in San Francisco's Mission District before her family later moved to Daly City. Life took a painful turn when Kimberly was just 10 years old. Her mother died of leukemia, and the loss shook the entire family. Her younger brother, Anthony, was only 8 at the time, and their father suddenly had to raise both children on his own. Kimberly took on responsibilities that most children never face. She cooked meals, helped maintain the home, and even relied on neighbors to buy groceries when things were difficult. Losing her mother was devastating, but it also made Kimberly stronger. She grew up quickly, realizing she could only depend on herself. Her mother had been a creative and inspiring woman. She loved writing, cooking, and sewing clothes, which she would sometimes donate to Native American reservations. Losing someone like that left a deep emptiness in Kimberly's life, but it also gave her drive. She became focused, independent, and determined never to give up. While attending UC Davis, Kimberly made a practical decision to help cover her education costs. She turned to modeling. It wasn't just casual work. She modeled clothing, swimwear, and lingerie, including campaigns for Victoria's Secret. Some of her jobs paid as much as $300 an hour. She also worked with major retailers like Macy's and appeared in bridal magazines. Kimberly took the work seriously, saying it gave her confidence and helped her learn how to carry herself in high-pressure situations. She always set boundaries, making sure she never crossed a line or did anything she would regret. For her, modeling wasn't about chasing fame. It was about survival, staying financially secure, and moving closer to her goals. At the same time, Kimberly's Catholic upbringing shaped her deeply. She attended Mercy High School, an all-girls Catholic school where she developed strong leadership skills and a love for debate. The school emphasized discipline, faith, and hard work, values that stayed with her for life. Even later, when she married Democratic politician Gavin Newsom, those values didn't fade. Over time, they actually pulled her away from liberal politics. Her faith became her anchor. She later credited prayer for helping her recover from COVID-19 in 2020, and her devotion to the Virgin Mary made her one of the most outspoken Catholic voices in conservative politics. After earning her bachelor's degree in political science from UC Davis, graduating magna cum laude, Kimberly went on to study law at the University of San Francisco. She managed a demanding schedule, attending law school, continuing her modeling work, and completing internships, including one at the San Francisco District Attorney's Office. She also studied abroad at Trinity College in Dublin, where she focused on international children's rights and European law. Her education gave her both practical experience and a global perspective, preparing her for a big career in law. In 1994, she graduated from law school ready to make her mark. But things didn't go as smoothly as she planned. Just 2 years later, in 1996, when she was only 27 years old, She was fired from the San Francisco District Attorney's Office by the new DA, Terrence Hallinan. She wasn't the only one. 13 other prosecutors were also let go, but the decision caused a public outcry. The prosecutors' union even filed a grievance accusing Hallinan of discrimination. Kimberly had previously worked under the former DA, Arlo Smith, and had even supported his political campaign, which may have played a role in her dismissal. Being fired at such a young age was a harsh lesson. It showed her how quickly political loyalty could vanish and how unstable a legal career could be when tied to politics. Blacklisted in San Francisco's legal community, Kimberly had no choice but to start over and rebuild her career from the ground up. After being forced out of San Francisco's District Attorney's Office, Kimberly moved to Los Angeles, where she joined the LA District Attorney's Office. For the next 4 years, she handled some of the toughest and most serious cases: kidnapping, arson, robbery, sexual assault, and even homicide. She proved herself quickly. Her preparation, confidence, and ability to handle pressure earned her awards, including being named Prosecutor of the Month. The time she spent in Los Angeles gave her a larger stage to prove her skills and showed that being fired in San Francisco had not weakened her. Instead, it made her stronger and more determined. Then, in 2000, something no one expected happened. Terrence Hallinan, the same man who had fired her years earlier, decided to rehire her in San Francisco. The move surprised everyone, especially Kamala Harris, who tried to block Kimberly's return. Harris reportedly called Kimberly, pretending to be part of a hiring committee, and told her that there were no jobs available. But when Hallinan found out about the call, he ignored the attempt and brought Kimberly back anyway. Her rehiring angered many in the office and exposed the political power struggles happening behind the scenes. But for Kimberly, it wasn't just about getting her old job back. It was about proving that her hard work and persistence had paid off. That comeback became an important part of her story. 2 years later, in 2002, Kimberly worked on the case that would change her career forever. Diane Whipple, a woman living in San Francisco, was killed after being attacked by 2 large dogs in her apartment building hallway. Kimberly co-prosecuted the case alongside James Hammer, and together they achieved something rare: a second-degree murder conviction against the dog's owner, Marjorie Nola. They successfully argued that the owner knew the dogs were dangerous and still allowed them in a public space, which was reckless enough to be treated as murder. The trial gained national attention, and Kimberly's strong performance in court was noticed by television executives. Soon after, Court TV offered her a job, opening a brand new path for her career in media. That case launched her into the national spotlight. In 2003, her rivalry with Kamala Harris became public. While Harris was campaigning for district attorney, Kimberly accused her of trying to create a hostile environment during the hiring process. She called Harris's actions manipulative and unfriendly, while Harris denied the accusations. The issue spilled into the media, and even Hallinan admitted in a public debate that Harris had opposed Kimberly's hiring. Despite the conflict, Kimberly still acknowledged that Harris was intelligent and a strong speaker. But the tension between the two never disappeared, and their early clash marked the beginning of a rivalry that would continue for years. Kimberly first met Gavin Newsom back in 1994 at a Democratic fundraiser for California Assemblyman John Burton. The introduction came through a San Francisco attorney named Art Groza, who thought the two would be a good match. At the time, Kimberly was working as a prosecutor in Los Angeles, while Gavin was an ambitious young politician just starting to build his career. Kimberly later admitted that she was immediately struck by his appearance and charm, while Gavin remembered her as the impressive DA from LA and would often ask his friends about her. It wasn't until 5 years later, when Gavin visited Los Angeles, that the two finally reconnected. Gavin asked her out to dinner, and their relationship began. By December 2001, Kimberly and Gavin had become one of the most talked about couples in California politics. On December 8th of that year, they married at St. Ignatius Catholic Church at the University of San Francisco. Their wedding was a huge event, with 500 guests in attendance. The San Francisco Chronicle called it the social event of the year. Even actor Robert Duvall flew in from Rome, where he had been filming a movie as the Pope, to attend the celebration. Kimberly looked elegant in her wedding dress, and Gavin, then just 34 years old and already a rising figure in city politics, stood proudly by her side. The reception was held at the Getty Mansion, where San Francisco's elite celebrated into the early morning hours. Their image as a power couple only grew. In September 2004, Harper's Bazaar featured them in a glamorous photo shoot, including one picture of them lying together on an ornate rug at the Getty Mansion. The article described them as the new Kennedys, highlighting both their appearance and their growing influence in politics and society. Gavin had just become the youngest mayor of San Francisco at age 36, and Kimberly was seen as the perfect political partner by his side. Gavin described their marriage as built on both love and pride, while Kimberly spoke about the deep trust they shared. When Gavin was sworn in as mayor on January 8, 2004, Kimberly's role expanded. Just 3 days later, however, she left for New York to begin hosting a new court TV show called Both Sides. This meant she was splitting her time between building her television career and fulfilling her duties as San Francisco's First Lady. She attended official events, represented the city at public gatherings, and supported community causes, all while flying back and forth between New York and California. Some observers pointed out the contrast. She was promoting San Francisco's progressive values at home, while also building her career in conservative-leaning media. Her time as San Francisco's First Lady lasted only 2 years, from 2004 to 2006, making it one of the shortest terms in the city's history. But behind the scenes, the marriage was already facing serious problems. Even before their wedding, negotiations over their prenuptial agreement had been tense. Gavin insisted on a detailed prenup to protect both his family's wealth and his political career from possible scandal. Kimberly, being an attorney herself, understood why Gavin wanted a prenuptial agreement, but she still felt it was cold and unromantic. To her, it seemed like a sign of doubt about their future together. When she moved to New York for her court TV job, things became even harder. The show demanded long hours every day, with constant coverage of trials and legal commentary, which left little time for her marriage. Gavin later admitted that living on opposite coasts was brutal, and said it put a huge strain on their relationship. He even confessed that the only relief was that they didn't have children, because their lives were so separate that a normal family life would have been impossible. Their problems were not only about distance. In 2004, Gavin became a national figure when he ordered San Francisco clerks to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, placing himself firmly on the progressive political map. Kimberly, however, had been a registered Republican and was beginning to build connections that eventually led her toward Fox News. While Gavin was being praised for officiating same-sex weddings on the steps of City Hall, Kimberly was developing a career in conservative-leaning media. Gavin later admitted that she had once been surrounded by Democrats but slowly became deeply tied to Fox's culture and conservative politics. Even after filing for divorce, the two had trouble letting go. In November 2005, months after separating, they still appeared together at major public events, including Prince Charles and Camilla's visit to San Francisco. Their public appearances confused people, and even they seemed unsure of where they stood. When former Mayor Willie Brown asked Gavin directly about his marriage during the royal visit, Gavin admitted, "I have a very confusing life." Kimberly added that anyone watching could see they still cared about each other, though she wasn't sure if they were truly back together. By February 2006, the marriage officially ended with their divorce finalized, and Kimberly shifted her focus fully to her career. That same month, she joined Fox News to host The Lineup, a weekend show centered on crime stories. While the show only lasted a year, it gave her national exposure and led to regular appearances across the network. Already known for prosecuting high-profile cases like the 2001 dog mauling trial, Kimberly was now recognized as a rising television personality. Her major breakthrough came in 2011 when she became one of the original co-hosts of The Five. The program, which launched on July 11, 2011, quickly attracted millions of viewers and became one of Fox's top-rated shows. Kimberly's outspoken and bold style made her one of the network's most recognizable figures. In 2014, she expanded her role by co-hosting Outnumbered and also appeared in nearly 50 episodes over the next 4 years. At the same time, she frequently filled in on Hannity, Justice with Judge Jeanine, Fox and Friends, and was a regular on the O'Reilly Factor until its cancellation in 2017. She even became a familiar face on Fox's New Year's Eve specials from Times Square. Her importance to the network was clear. In June 2017, Fox signed her to a long-term contract extension, with executives calling her a huge asset to the Five. But her secure place at Fox was not just about ratings. It was also about her close ties to Roger Ailes. For 15 years, Kimberly had a strong mentorship with Ailes, who protected her in ways that gave her unusual power at the network. When Ailes faced multiple sexual harassment accusations in 2016, Kimberly stood firmly by his side. She told reporters she had always been treated with respect and praised him as a fantastic mentor. Inside Fox, many believed she knew so much about Ailes's operations that she was untouchable, even when executives considered firing her. When Gretchen Carlson filed her lawsuit against Ailes in 2016, Kimberly defended him aggressively. She dismissed the accusations as unbelievable and rallied support for him inside the network. She even helped hand out pro-Ailes t-shirts and pressured women to wear them as a sign of loyalty. She also allegedly called colleagues to urge them to publicly defend Ailes. While some stood with her, others refused. Megyn Kelly, who remained silent on the matter, became one of Kimberly's fiercest rivals. Kimberly reportedly launched a smear campaign against Kelly, furious that she wouldn't support Ailes. Later, Kelly revealed that she herself had been harassed by Ailes years earlier, which explained her silence. To many, this made Kimberly's attacks on her seem cruel, since she was pushing a victim to protect her abuser. Even after Ailes resigned in disgrace, Kimberly had difficulty adjusting to the new culture at Fox. She allegedly made inappropriate remarks, including saying that Judge Jeanine Pirro, then 67, was too old for television. By 2017, whispers about her behavior turned into serious complaints. Fox launched a year-long investigation after a young female assistant accused her of misconduct. The investigation revealed disturbing details. According to a draft complaint, Kimberly often exposed herself, showed her assistant explicit photos, and pressured her into inappropriate situations. Makeup and hair staff backed up these claims, saying Kimberly frequently displayed sexual images and spoke graphically about her personal life, making the workplace deeply uncomfortable. By the summer of 2018, Fox executives had enough evidence to act. She was given a choice: resign quietly by the end of July or face termination and public exposure of the allegations. Rupert Murdoch later admitted in a lawsuit that he personally pushed for her removal. On July 20, 2018, Fox announced that Kimberly was leaving, but publicly she claimed it was to avoid conflicts of interest over her relationship with Donald Trump Jr. behind the scenes. However, Fox agreed to pay her former assistant at least $4 million in a private settlement, one of the largest harassment payouts in Fox's history. The deal included a strict non-disclosure agreement that silenced the assistant, ensuring the disturbing details never went to court. Despite her fall from Fox, Kimberly bounced back almost instantly. Just 3 days after leaving, she joined America First Policies, a political organization supporting Donald Trump. The turnaround was shocking, considering she had just been forced out of Fox after a damaging year-long investigation and a multimillion-dollar settlement. Kimberly's story took an even more dramatic turn after her exit from Fox News. The allegations against her were serious, including claims that she exposed herself to staff members and showed them explicit photos of men she had been involved with. Even with all the scandal, the Trump world quickly embraced her, showing that loyalty mattered more than controversy. What made it more shocking was how fast things changed. Just a year earlier, in 2017, Fox had signed her to a long-term contract, only to cut ties the following summer. Her media career collapsed overnight, but her personal life opened a new door at the same time. In May 2018, only 2 months before she was forced out of Fox, her relationship with Donald Trump Jr. became public. His spokesperson praised her as a strong addition to the campaign trail, calling her presence a win for the entire Republican Party. This new role in politics gave her immediate protection and influence. Kimberly and Don Jr. had met earlier that year at a party, shortly after she ended another relationship, and their connection was instant. By July, she was already appearing at rallies alongside him, supporting candidates like Ron DeSantis in Florida and Matt Rosendale in Montana. What could have been the end of her career instead became the start of her transformation into half of a Republican power couple. Her position inside Trump's circle grew even stronger in January 2020 when she became national chairwoman of the Trump Victory Finance Committee. Under her leadership, the donor network grew from around 1,000 bundlers to more than 6,500 in a matter of months, and the program raised about $73 million. On the surface, it looked like a huge success, but behind the scenes there was chaos. Reports surfaced about reckless spending, senior staff members leaving, and even claims that she engaged in sexually explicit conversations at private fundraisers, which left some donors uncomfortable. She was also being paid in a strange way. $15,000 a month funneled through Brad Parscale's private company instead of directly by the campaign. The unusual setup raised questions, but her ability to bring in money protected her. In Trump's world, results always came before reputation. On New Year's Eve 2020, Don Jr. proposed, but they kept the engagement private for a full year. They announced it on January 1, 2022, with a polished Instagram post showing off her diamond ring. The timing was important. It came right after Trump's 2020 election loss and the January 6 Capitol riot, where Kimberly had helped raise millions for the rally and was even paid $60,000 for a speech that lasted just 2.5 minutes. Going public with the engagement at that moment was a way of locking her into the Trump family's image during one of its most difficult times. But the promise of marriage never turned into reality. Nearly 4 years passed without a wedding, and by August 2024, cracks in the relationship became undeniable. Photos surfaced of Don Jr. kissing Florida socialite Beta Tina Anderson during brunch in Palm Beach. Witnesses said the two were openly affectionate, with Anderson placing her hand on his thigh and kissing him repeatedly. The affair had already been rumored after they were first seen together at the Republican National Convention, but the new photos made it impossible to deny. Anderson was not interested in being a secret. She demanded that Don Jr. choose between her and Kimberly. By December, he was celebrating Anderson's birthday with her in public, holding her hand for everyone to see. His 6-year relationship with Kimberly was over. The breakup blindsided Kimberly. Sources close to her said she found out about the affair the same way the public did, through the tabloid photos. Just weeks earlier, Don Jr. had posted about their anniversary, praising her loyalty. Kimberly responded by calling him her soulmate, unaware that he was already moving on with someone else. She still stood by his side during Trump's November 2024 election night celebration, but insiders later revealed that it was only for appearances. The Trump family had never fully accepted her. Privately, some thought her personality was too loud, her style too flashy, and her history too complicated. They also noted she was older than Don Jr. and had already been married twice. In contrast, they viewed Anderson as a better match, young, elegant, and from a wealthy social background closer to Melania Trump's image. When the affair came to light, not one Trump family member defended Kimberly. Instead, Donald Trump gave her an escape route. On December 10, 2024, just a day after new photos of Don Jr. and Anderson appeared, he nominated her to be ambassador to Greece. The choice was clearly meant as a way to push her out of the family drama while still offering her a prestigious role. Greece is considered a less strategic post, far from Washington's center of power, but it gave her a graceful exit. Trump praised her experience in law, media, and politics, describing her as a sharp and capable leader. It was a remarkable turnaround. In just 6 years, Kimberly went from being fired at Fox News over sexual harassment allegations to becoming a top Trump fundraiser, and now to being positioned as a U.S. ambassador. But the past continued to follow her. During her Senate confirmation hearings in July 2025, the allegations from her Fox News days resurfaced. Her former assistant had claimed she was forced to work in Kimberly's apartment, where she was exposed to her boss's nudity, shown explicit photos, and pressured into disturbing situations. Fox had paid at least $4 million to settle the case, one of the largest harassment payouts in its history. The New Yorker later confirmed parts of the story, and Rupert Murdoch himself admitted that he personally pushed for her firing. Polls showed that 62% of Americans believed such allegations should disqualify her from becoming an ambassador, but with Republicans holding a slim majority in the Senate, her confirmation seemed almost certain. The settlement, combined with strict non-disclosure agreements, had kept many of the details buried, and her political ties provided her with powerful protection. Kimberly's rise, fall, and reinvention show how in Trump's orbit, even the most damaging scandals can be reshaped into opportunity if there is enough loyalty, timing, and influence behind the scenes.